anybody in here. All right, so just want to show y'all real quick what I'm working on. See if I can get this thing in here. So trying to get the BDS 4-link kit in here. And one of the things I wanted to do before I did the next step was to get rid of this rust that's going on under here from the old factory bracket. So I've got just the old belt sander out here. Typically not what I would want to use for this. I've got a better tool for it, but just letting my buddy borrow that right now. So I'm going to try this out, just kind of cleaning this up a little bit, and then I'm going to hit it with some paint. So I'm going to keep going. If we get a few more people in here, I'll explain a little bit better, but basically just trying to clean this up a little bit, get some paint on it, and then start putting the new bracket on. Figured I would just kind of ramble while I let y'all watch. So let's see what we got going on here. So I'm going to see how this cleans up. I'm going to keep working until I get a few more people in here, and then I'll kind of show the progress of it. I did not want the air compressor kicking on, so I went ahead and turned it off, but obviously I'm running out of air. But about done with this, and I'll kind of explain what's going on as we wait for a few more people to get on the live. Oh, and I got some underneath too I gotta do, but we'll start with that, see how that's looking. Get y'all a little closer. So just working on knocking the rust off up here. I just couldn't bring it upon myself to slap a brand new part over top of rust. So I'm gonna take that down to bare metal, and then I've got some paint I'm gonna use on it. Make sure y'all can see that. So I've got two different ones I can use. We've got the rust encapsulator, which is more of a matte black and is better for like going over rust, versus I have this chassis black satin finish, so it's going to be a little bit more of a gloss than the matte. This would kind of match like my newly powder coated transmission cross member here. So not sure which one I want to use, but I think that the rust encapsulator would stick better to the bare metal, whereas this is not really like a primer, I don't think. Let's see, so I'll look into that a little bit before I start spraying, but gonna narrow it down to these two. And yeah, that says use pre-painting prep to remove grease and oil. Can be used over bare metal or over primer, so I might do the chassis black. We'll see. I don't know, I feel like my frame is a little bit more matte than some, and it's going to be underneath a bracket anyway. So let me grab the bracket that's going there, and then we'll get started on tonight's topic. guess that was better. Okay, so here's my bracket. This one, actually, I think I grabbed the right side. Let's see. Yeah, so that's gonna go on there like that. And I've got the little tiny Christmas tree holding that up, but that's gonna end up right there. And when I put that there, I did not want that metal under there rusting away, so I'm gonna cover that up, but you're not gonna see too much of what I just took off. I just wanna make sure that it doesn't have running rust come through as time goes on. See if I can get this in a better spot. All right, so for the sake of having y'all with me out here tonight, I wanted to just kind of rant for a little bit, just talk about something to get on here for the live. I'm trying to try it out. Have not done a YouTube live much before, if at all, and I figured I want to be out here anyway. Might as well let y'all know what's going on. So tonight I think I want to talk a little bit about Grappaholics as a small business and kind of what we're doing as far as products we have and like why we are doing things the way that we're doing them and how it's working out for us. If anybody else is interested in small business stuff or being your own boss or anything like that. A little bit of backstory on that. I am in the Coast Guard, so I'm active duty. I work, normal active duty hours, which depends on my unit, sometimes more than others. And I am kind of doing Grappaholics on the side. I always have. So started Grappaholics in 2014 in high school with no ambition of making it really a business. It was just I wanted people to like my truck, and I figured if I posted a lot of other people's trucks, then sometimes they'd be interested in what I had as well, because I just had a two-wheel drive 98 F-150. So as time went on, more and more people showed interest in Grappaholics. It just kind of kept growing and growing, and it was like I'm just a fan of Nittos, wanted Nittos myself. When I started Grappaholics, I actually hadn't even bought my first set of mud wraps yet. I was saving up for them. So I ended up buying those back in 2014, not long after starting the page, and kind of the rest is history. Since then, been in the Coast Guard. I got in pretty much right after high school. Tonight I am not drinking beer. I'm having Dunkin' because I'm pretty tired. My wife got me some girly drink, so thanks for that. That's probably going to help me talk because otherwise I'll be out here sleeping. So with that, I just kind of kept doing my thing the way I wanted, just posting everybody's trucks that I liked, and it just has worked out really well over time. I did the small business thing a little bit backwards from what most people would do, whereas like most small businesses start out with like a business plan. They're focused at being a business. They know exactly what they want to do with the business. And then later on down the road, they're like, oh, we need social media. And they start doing, Instagram posts and commercials or anything like that to try to get their name out there. Whereas my Grappaholics deal has kind of started off the opposite with Instagram first. And then, I used to make YouTube videos when I was in high school about my first truck. And it just kind of has become a fun thing that a lot of people have showed interest in products. And now I've started off with, I guess, decals was the first thing. Started it real small. I'm going to try to keep talking as I see how this goes on here, but I might get a little distracted. So we started on Facebook, let's see, with the decals actually. I need to shake that one, it's not even black yet. So we started on Facebook with the decals, and then that was kind of just like a thing through PayPal we were doing. So we would do like a group of decal orders all at once on Facebook, and then that was really cool to see. It was like a small thing. We did limited run of our decals. We had a few people send us some that they'd seen out and about, but now they're getting really popular now that we've got grappaholics.com. It's a lot easier for people to just go on our website and pick up decals. We've also got the shirts, hats, several different kinds of decals. We've got hoodies now as well. Here's a Mud Grap hoodie, which I just got dirty from sanding this, but we've got Mud Grap tread down the sleeves, and it just has Grappaholics embroidered on here. So you've got like a screen print on the sleeve and embroidered on the chest. Pretty stoked on those. It's kind of a simple, like, color blends in almost, being a gray on black, so it's not too in your face and there's nothing on the back. But that was just to say, like, it's been a slow process. Like, a lot of people, I think, go right into being business owners and have a hard time getting started. Like, they might be very excited and might have the, investment and everything, but I think kind of what I want to start off by talking about, maybe as far as advice, is to kind of go slow with it and see, what your expectations versus reality, like how everything pans out. It's hard to believe how many people are interested in our products, but it was definitely a risk, to invest money in products. And I would encourage anybody to kind of be patient when they're starting up a small business, especially if it's something like what I'm doing, where it's you're selling merchandise, like clothes and hats and keychains and all that kind of stuff, where you have to make sure you have customers for it. Or in my case too, I kind of started off like with a brand first and not a business necessarily even established yet. So kind of making a name for the brand, and that just was super runny and messy, so I might wipe that off. That's what I get for trying to multitask. Okay, that wiped off pretty good. So I'm excited to see how this comes out. And I just did it again. But I gotta be careful with it. Also, again, I gotta do more on the bottom. I don't know if y'all can see that, but this is rusty down here. So I wanna hit that, but I wanted to start talking and turn off the air tool. So this is kind of just like a test run of how this is gonna look. And I see I also got heavy right here, and it's kind of dripping, which again, you'll never see when it's the parts installed, but I just would rather kind of figure out how thick I need to go before I do it. So back to small businesses. I know tons of people start businesses from something like lawn care to as advanced as like, opening up a gym or some kind of, food place. And I guess what I want to say next about small business stuff is make sure you enjoy it. My goal is after the 20 years in the Coast Guard to actually do Grappaholics full time. So kind of get into that a little bit. Again, it's a small business. My wife and I totally do everything for Grappaholics, and I work on my trucks out here to kind of promote the brand. Hopefully this thing will be a pretty awesome show rig once it's done. However long that takes, I'm already 3 years in on it. But I do this after working on weekends, after the kids go to bed, from about 7 at night to 11 at night. Then I come in and wash the dishes and try to talk to the wife a bit before she goes to sleep. So just trying to find time for everything I think is important. And also, if you've got kids, putting them first. If you got a girlfriend and you really want to make it work with her, you can't be spending all your money on rims and stuff for your truck if you want it to work out. So I would just say priorities are a big thing with a small business, and having support too. My wife's very helpful with the business. She actually packs up our orders and gets them out to y'all, so that's a huge help. I do it sometimes as well, but she's killing it with that, while also watching the two kids all the time, and anything else that kind of comes up too. We stay pretty busy. We're getting close to family here, being in North Carolina, and they keep us busy. This is a Nitto cup I got while I was out at King of the Hammer, so I'm pretty excited about that. This is something from the pit crew. I'm not actually a part of the pit crew. I didn't opt to really be in that group because I already have my own connections with Nitto through years of Grappaholics. So sometimes I have some of the stuff from that, but if anybody's curious about pit crew, I don't know much about it, but it is an option for some people to get some cool free stuff. Okay, so let's see, where else am I going with the small business thing? So while I watch paint dry here, more about my goals for Grappaholics. The small business, taking it slow. Obviously I have a whole shop here. We'll do a little shop tour kind of thing. I'll try to do this selfie style I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but if you haven't seen the YouTube videos, I have this 24 by 40 metal building. I've junked it up pretty well with some good stuff. I got a lot of good parts in here. I got the Eastwood welder and plasma cutter. My drive shaft just got powder coated. Quite a bit going on there. I don't know if y'all can see that the way I'm holding it. Also, I have got it insulated, and I have a like storage unit on the back side of it. So I got one other truck in the back, and I have parking in the front. This thing's kind of tall, so sorry if that's a weird angle. But this is kind of like my version of starting small. I wanted to do a shop in my backyard that was big enough to accommodate like the two main projects I have going on, which would be this thing up on the lift. This is my 2016 F-250 that I'm planning on putting a 1967 Ford body on. Not this one, but here's an example of a 1967 Ford. If y'all can see kind of the body lines of it. And the grill, this one's got a lot of rust on it. This is the second one I'm really working on here, but you can see the old school grill and headlights and everything. That's the look I'm going for with the new 6.7 frame and engine and everything, four-wheel drive. So lately I've been chipping away at all the stuff for that to make this represent the brand. The other truck I'm working on is partially this white truck, making it a four-door old school truck. So I'll have two old looking trucks, one with a new engine and then one with the old school engine. It's going to start probably with a 352 old FE motor from 67, and then later on down the road I want to do like a 460 big block potentially, or maybe a 12 valve Cummins, we'll see. But those are the two main projects. So back to the shop. 4 cars can fit in here, pretty much 4 trucks. You can see I've got this Suburban thing that's been cut into a Blazer kind of deal. I did actually wreck this truck and the roof caved in, so I decided to cut it off, and I want to build a roll cage for it and off-road with it and make it like a fully topless Jeep kind of thing. But that's kind of on the back burner. I think I'm actually gonna move trucks around in my space here and put that in the storage unit that's around back. So I'm not really working on it for a while because I got the 2 main trucks. So with the plan for Grappaholics, me starting this in my backyard, the current position I'm at, I have a great setup. I have this shop in my backyard, but what I wanted to say about that is I did not start with a location. I don't have like some big shop somewhere where you can come and get tires. Now, as much as I would like to do that, I think it'd be really fun to sell tires, put lift kits on, do all this stuff like full time. Again, I'm still active duty Coast Guard, and I plan to finish out my 20 years. So I got about another decade in the Coast Guard before I maybe do something like that where I open up my own shop. But this kind of gives me an idea of like how much time I can really put into doing trucks and everything. And that's like circling back to the small business stuff is before you like dive into a business, I would say do it on the side, see how passionate you are. I'm 10 years into Grappaholics and promoting Nittos now. I still love it. Still a big Nitto fan. Still want to do it. Still want to come out here every night and stay up till 11 o'clock and then get up and be at work at 7:30 the next morning. It's something I'm super passionate about. So I would say small business wise, make sure you're super passionate about it. If you hate cutting grass, I wouldn't start a lawn care company unless you don't ever plan on actually being out there doing it and you're going to hire everybody. Stuff like that, though, I just think, if I'm going to put my time into something, I want to really enjoy it. And I just have the most fun messing with trucks. Starting in high school with window tint and lights and easy stuff, moving on to lift kits and then maintenance stuff, wheel bearings, gears, anything really that came up. It's gotten to the point now where I refuse to take a truck anywhere to get anything done. I've had lift kits installed for me before. I've got a lift now and no excuses why I can't do anything, except it just takes me a lot of time to get stuff done. So with the small business, I'm curious what kind of business ideas y'all may have, or what you already started. If anybody's watching that is a small business owner or has their own side hustle going on already, I would like to see that. I have not done the YouTube live much before, so I'm not really sure how the comments work. I'm going to take a peek and see if I've got anything here, but I don't even know. Let's see, there's comments. So I had to mess with the settings, I think. All right, it looks like it's all good to go. I just need to hear from y'all. So let me see if y'all can see this paint drying here while we're thinking about it. So that's pretty glossy black, and it's still dripping. This is supposed to be the more of the matte black look, and I just don't want these drips to be too thick for the part to sit flush on there, so that's kind of why I'm doing it. Obviously, for a paint job, you would not want to be touching your drips and everything, but just for something that's going to be hidden forever underneath a bracket, I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, if you guys want to comment on this, I will try to check it out. I'm not sure exactly how that shows up and pops up, but excited to answer some of y'all's questions or anything. While I got you on a big stick here, you can see the 6.7 Power Stroke from way up here on the lift, and the black leather seats and everything from this 2016 Lariat with 100,000 miles. That's another thing, is diving into a project this big to represent my company. You know, I've seen a lot of things about people wanting like a write-off for their business, buying a brand new truck and everything and putting their signage all over it. I would not put the cart before the horse with that. I would not go get the truck before you got the money for it, you know, with the established business. I think that I've seen, like, my neighbor in Alabama had a roofing company, and he eventually got a new truck just based off of, like, he was making enough money that he could use the write-off, and just, I'm assuming he paid like a pretty good amount down, if not cash, for the thing, and then wrote it off. But I feel like a lot of people want to have a business for the wrong reasons, want the write-offs, you know, want to write off a boat, want to write off a truck or whatever. With me, I'm like putting this thing together that I bought from an insurance auction with a bunch of rusty old junk that I paid cash for. So in the long run, I want it to represent my business, but I'm not into the whole Grappaholics thing to have, you know, stuff. The things that I want, I'm trying to build myself and not, you know, spend too much money on. At the point now where I have the car lift and the shop and everything, things have gotten a little out of hand, but it's all been very methodical, long time thinking about everything, like budgeting, making connections with everybody, to the point where I have the shop that's big enough for me to do everything I need to do now and more, and then also expand hopefully over the next 10 years if I can potentially stay in this house and bounce around different units in the area. That would be awesome. And then, you know, dive in even further from there. So kind of invested a little bit into the future of Grappaholics by having this big building, but again, not where I want to be, you know, end goal. If I was, you know, made of money, I would have bought a big piece of property like right on the highway where everybody could come and get their tires mounted up, and I would just be doing that all the time. But I wanted to kind of take it slow, see how it's going. You know, it's been 10 years since I was driving a two-wheel drive F-150 and working on the surf shop, and now, you know, just seeing how many people are into Grappaholics and having way nicer trucks than me, and, you know, promoting my brand with my decal on the back glass, it's just been awesome. So I don't want to ever lose that. I don't want to lose sight of what Grappaholics is with the whole community of everybody, and I don't want to, you know, over business it too much. So I'm curious if anybody has like any thoughts on their small business stuff or Grappaholics. Like, I don't know that many people have really cared about, you know, how Grappaholics get here. Some people have seen or got here. Some people have seen over the years, like, the growth of me moving, me having different vehicles. They've probably already noticed that I started off going straight from an old grandpa truck to a King Ranch F-250 6.7, and then kind of backed off from there, sold that one, had another one for a little while, but sold it and kind of moved into this project here and buying and selling older stuff. So, you know, I think some of that is not really relevant to having a small business, but I just thought it would be cool to kind of tie it all in with how Grappaholics has, you know, changed over the years. Because the main thing I've done is like try to focus on keeping Grappaholics what it is, keeping the brand, protecting it, making it like where I don't get in bed with somebody that is gonna you know, make Grappaholics look bad, like making brand deals with tire distributors or anything like that. I've been interested in that. It's very tempting to like sell a bunch of tires. It's been, you know, tempting to use like the bigger Instagram page to get money somehow, but really it's just been wanting to focus on what Grappaholics is. And I would suggest that for anybody doing small business stuff. Make sure that you're doing what you want to do, and that like from the outside perspective, you would be proud of the product you're putting out, regardless of if you're plumbing, you know, doing lawn care, you're doing some kind of on the road job as like a lineman, or teaming up with friends to do something, opening a car wash or whatever you want to do. Just really focus on like what you would want as a customer, and also hear somebody with straight pipes driving by. Gotta love that. But also just do what makes you happy, and don't do it for the wrong reasons. It's kind of my thing for tonight. So this is getting pretty close to being dry. What I would like to do now is sand the bottom part, which means I got to turn the air compressor on. So that's going to make some noise. So I might try to find something else to either do or talk about to make this a little entertaining for y'all, because I'm trying to get some progress done, but at the same time, I want to see how this whole YouTube live thing goes, how it works out for me, because I've been doing YouTube since before any of the Grappaholic stuff. Back with my two-wheel drive F-150, I put a leveling kit on it, mud wraps, glass pack, exhaust, and everything. I had videos on that in high school, probably in 2011 or so. And, you know, I never did kind of keep up with the YouTube stuff. I went to Instagram, was like, Instagram's where it's at. Turned out to work out pretty well, but sometimes I wish I had kept the YouTube going for longer, just because it's been obvious, like, you got people making good money off of YouTube, just doing it for a living. I would love to have my hobby of building this truck become popular and have lots of, you know, good feedback from it. I've seen other videos of people doing similar things on YouTube, and I really appreciate people putting out content that I can relate to and also ask them questions. So that's kind of why I'm doing it, and why I want to do the YouTube live as well. I'll do a little bit more walking around to show you something here. So again, for anybody just tuning in, working on my 16 F250. It's pretty muddy because I took it to Uari, and which is a like off-road forest in North Carolina. So you can see the dirt up in there, and I did wash it before I put it on the lift, but obviously there's more, and there always will be mud under here. I'm going to be cleaning this thing forever, but slowly trying to clean it up. As I start working on the BDS lift kit for this thing with the Fox coilovers, I've noticed a lot of parts I wanted to get powder coated, like this transmission cross member was super rusty, so I took that out, got it powder coated. I've also got a skid plate for the transfer case, which would be right here by this Air Dog lift pump here. So little shout out to that. Pretty excited about that Air Dog in there. So I got drive shaft powder coated over there. We've got kind of a before and after we could do here. Oh yeah, there's my skid plate. So this is how everything was looking under here. They just don't paint stuff on these newer trucks. They just leave stuff, you know, unpainted, and that's the front drive shaft. Was going to get it powder coated, but it was becoming a royal pain. So I ended up buying a whole new one, and you can see that one's nice and black. So with that, the next thing I'm doing to get this lift kit on is I want to clean some of the areas. So as y'all can see, right here, it's pretty shined up. The frame is looking decent. It's a solid frame on here. There was just some parts on it that were rusty, but you can see how dirty this radius arm is. That still has some of the clay and mud from Uari. So I've been cleaning that off of parts of the frame, as well as the rust from where the bracket was before. So trying to sand that down, put some of this rust encapsulator from Eastwood. It's kind of like a POR 15 kind of deal, matte black. You can put it right over rust, but I wanted to sand it off first. So just getting it cleaned up a little bit at a time. And with that, this is kind of one of those things where I thought it'd be funny to mention. As I'm going through this, through like as time has progressed from, you know, where I started with just a, you know, basic two-wheel drive truck, and then I had a 6.7 Power Stroke that I put a big lift kit on, and thought I was, you know, pretty cool going to events on 40s and 24s. then realizing like everybody had that had came into any kind of money through working for it, or had daddy's money. It didn't really fit the look I was going for. I've always been, more about the Bubba setups, the stocks and graps. So I kind of tried to come back to that, but even going to the old school stuff. But through that time of like having a nice truck, realizing that everybody else has a nice truck and I wanted something different, I've also noticed a lot of stuff like on truck rice, the way the SEMA fails are. Like, I love watching that stuff. The like people without drive shafts, or drive shafts that would never work because the drive shaft's like touching the cross member, or you've got like crazy sway bar end links that aren't even attached to anything, or they have like a little flimsy piece of metal holding it on. Like, I love watching that stuff, but I don't want to be on the wrong end of that one day. So as I'm going through this truck, this complete resto mod 2016 truck with a 1967 body, everything I find that is not right or has a little rust on it, I want to replace or make it back to factory or better. The factory front drive shaft not being painted, I don't like that, so I got one that's painted now. Rear drive shaft's going to be black as well, so it doesn't have that rust under it. I want people to look underneath the truck, because it's interesting, like, what is this? When you see it done, it's going to have the old body on it. As you look under it to see what's going on, I'd like people to be like, wow, that thing looks brand new. Like, this is a brand new old truck. So kind of the direction I'm going with it. It's taken me a long time, because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna throw a lift kit on, and then I find some rust, or I find U-joints I want to replace. I want stuff powder coated. I've got like several things that I haven't got back from powder coating yet, and I'm still in the middle of this. Now I'm like painting some random part of the frame that you'll never see because it's behind a bracket. But just getting really thorough with everything. It's gonna take me forever, and the more I talk about it, the slower I go, but I enjoy sharing this stuff with y'all. I'm gonna try to get back to work because I need to turn this air compressor back on, but if you hadn't seen the whole thing, be sure to go back and watch it if YouTube will let you. Talk about small business stuff a little bit. Grappaholic's growing from just an idea to maintaining it as a brand, and now we're selling shirts, decals, hoodies, all that stuff out of our house with goals of being bigger in the future, but try not to get ahead of ourselves. And if anyone has any business questions, please DM me on Instagram, especially on my personal. I'll probably see it quicker, and I'd love to talk to you about anything you have questions about. So thank y'all for watching. I'm going to end the live now, but we're everywhere now. We got TikTok, awesome Facebook group. Facebook group's growing like crazy, 37-some thousand followers now on that, or members of the group. And then YouTube's always been there. I've been chipping away at that. A lot of good stuff on there, tons of videos of this truck, as well as some of my older stuff. So y'all be sure to check it out.